We discovered she's been stealing from us for years. Sonia's voice carried through the entire floor. Every person working nearby stopped what they were doing. I stood next to the water dispenser, holding my cup. My hand didn't shake. Not yet. Years, she repeated, turning to look directly at me. Right under our noses. Taking money meant for all of you, for your salaries, for this company's future. Two security guards appeared at the far end of the room. They walked toward me, their movements unhurried but deliberate. I set my water down on the nearest surface. The cup made a small sound. I trusted her, Sonia continued. Her voice had this quality to it, like she was genuinely hurt. Owen trusted her. We all did. My name is Leah. 3 years ago, I took this job because I needed to believe in something clean again. My previous workplace had been suffocating, not because of dishonesty, but because of its opposite. Every transaction questioned, every decision reviewed, every penny accounted for 3 times over. I wanted somewhere I could breathe, somewhere that trusted me to do my work without someone constantly watching. Irongate Solutions hired me to manage their money. Owen, who ran the company, built things, technology things. He spent his days thinking about how to make products work better, faster, cheaper. He told me during my interview that he hated looking at numbers. His wife, Sonia, had been helping with the financial side, but they'd grown too large for that now. They needed someone whose only job was keeping track of where money came from and where it went. I said yes within a week. The first month felt perfect. The office was bright, people smiled. Owen would pass my workspace and ask how things were going, but he never demanded reports or explanations. He just wanted to know I had what I needed. Sonia came by more often. She'd bring me tea sometimes, ask questions about my previous job, my family, my life outside this place. I thought she was being kind. The second month, I started noticing the gaps. Money left our accounts regularly, large amounts. The paperwork said they were payments to various businesses we worked with, suppliers, contractors, service providers. But when I tried to match those payments to actual work being done, things didn't align properly. A payment to one company happened 3 weeks before we'd even signed an agreement with them. Another payment went to a business that our project managers had never heard of. I didn't say anything yet. I told myself, maybe I didn't understand how things worked here. Maybe there were arrangements made before I arrived. Maybe I was being too careful, too paranoid, bringing my old workplace's suspicion into this new environment. The third month, I saw Sonia's name, not directly, but buried in the registration information for one of these companies we supposedly worked with. She was listed as a founder. The business received $40,000 every month from Irongate. It provided nothing in return. I went home that night and sat in my apartment for hours. Just sat, didn't eat, didn't turn on any lights as the sun went down. I thought about what this meant, about whether I should talk to Owen, about whether I was making too much of something that might have a reasonable explanation. By the 4th month, I'd found 3 more businesses connected to Sonia. Together, they pulled hundreds of thousands from Irongate every month. Some months, over $1 million. The money was supposed to go toward actual business needs. Instead, it funded whatever Sonia was building for herself. I still said nothing, but Sonia changed how she spoke to me. Small things at first. She'd ask how I was doing, but her tone suggested she already knew the answer, and it concerned her. She'd mentioned to other people, while I was nearby, that I seemed tired lately, stressed. She hoped everything was all right with me. Leah's been here late every night this week, she told Owen once, standing just outside my workspace. I worry about her. That kind of stress isn't healthy. I hadn't been staying late. I left at the same time I always did. She started asking me about my personal finances. Did I have family helping me? Was rent expensive where I lived? She knew someone who could connect me with better opportunities if I needed extra income. Just trying to help, she'd say. Just want to make sure you're okay? Before I continue, I want to thank you for listening to this. Really, it means something to know someone's hearing this story. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I'd love to know where you are right now. Thank you. Now, back to what happened. 5 months ago, I made my decision. Not the decision you might think. I didn't start gathering proof, didn't build files or take photos or keep secret records. I did something simpler. I contacted the government office that investigates financial crimes at companies. I didn't accuse anyone. I just asked questions. What were the rules about reporting? How did inspections work? When did they usually check companies in our industry? The person I spoke with became interested. Why was I asking? Was there a concern? I suggested they might want to do a routine inspection of Iron Gate. We'd grown significantly. It seemed like the responsible thing to do. They agreed, said they'd schedule something in about 2 months. I never told Sonia about this conversation, never mentioned it to anyone, but Sonia had her own sources. 6 weeks later, she found out somehow that inspectors were scheduled to visit. I watched her that day, the way she walked faster between rooms, the way she checked her phone constantly, the way she looked at me. The next morning, she started setting things up. She'd had access to my login information for months. She'd asked for it early on, saying she might need to check something if I was ever out sick. I'd given it to her because refusing would have seemed suspicious. She used that access to move her recent transfers, made it look like they'd come from accounts I controlled, created a trail that pointed to me. I knew what was happening. I watched it happen. I didn't stop it, because 2 weeks earlier, I'd done something else, something she didn't know about. I'd contacted Owen directly, not at the office. I'd found where he went most mornings before work, a small place that served breakfast. I'd waited outside one day and approached him. I need to talk to you about your money, I'd said. Not here, somewhere private. It's important. He'd looked confused but agreed. We met that evening. I told him everything, showed him where to look. He'd gone pale, asked me to repeat certain parts, asked why I hadn't come to him sooner. I told him I'd needed to be certain first. I needed to understand the full picture. The inspectors, I'd said. They're not coming in 2 months like Sonia thinks. I spoke with them again. They're willing to come earlier, much earlier. They could be here next week if you authorize it. Owen had authorized it. So when Sonia made her announcement that afternoon, when she pointed at me and declared I'd been stealing, when those guards walked toward me, I knew what was really happening. I raised my hands, palms forward. I understand, I said. My voice was steady. Sonia looked relieved, vindicated. She turned to address everyone again. I know this is shocking. Believe me, it shocked us too, but we have to protect this company. Protect all of you. The guards reached me. One of them spoke quietly. Ma'am, we need you to come with us. Of course, I said. What Sonia didn't see were the 3 people in Owen's office. They'd been there for 4 days, going through every transaction, every transfer, every account. They wore regular clothes. They'd entered through the side entrance early each morning before most people arrived. Owen had given them everything they'd asked for. What Sonia didn't know was that they'd already traced every penny she'd taken, already confirmed which accounts were hers, already prepared their report. The main entrance opened. 4 uniformed officers walked in, not security guards, actual officers, the kind with badges and authority that extended far beyond this building. They walked past me. They walked past the guards holding my arms. They walked directly to Sonia. Ma'am, one of them said, we need you to come with us. Now. Sonia's expression changed in a way I'd never seen before. Her mouth opened slightly. Her eyes moved from the officers to Owen's office, where the door now stood open. The 3 people who'd been working there for days emerged, carrying boxes and folders. There's been a mistake, Sonia said. Her voice was different now, higher. I'm the one who reported the theft. I'm the victim here. The officer closest to her shook his head. Ma'am, please don't make this harder. We have all the information we need. Owen appeared in his doorway. He looked at his wife. I'd never seen someone's face hold that much confusion and betrayal at the same time. Not anger yet, just this horrible realization spreading across his features. Owen, Sonia said, turning toward him. Owen, listen to me. She's fooled you somehow. She's manipulated the records. I can explain everything. He didn't respond, just stood there. One of the officers moved beside Sonia. Ma'am, you need to come with us now. The security guards released my arms. They stepped away from me, looking uncertain. Everyone in the room was watching. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Sonia's face shifted again, this time to something harder. She looked directly at me. You did this, she said. You set this up. You… lying… That's enough, the officer interrupted. Let's go. They led her toward the entrance. She tried to pull away once, but they held her firmly. Not roughly, just firmly. As they passed me, she stopped walking, forcing them to stop too. You'll regret this, she said to me. Do you understand what you've done? Not just to me, to everyone here. This company won't survive this. All these people will lose their jobs. That's on you. I didn't reply. The officers moved her forward again, out through the entrance, toward the vehicles, waiting outside. The room stayed silent for another moment. Then everyone started talking at once. Questions flew in every direction. People clustered together, asking each other what had just happened, what this meant, whether what Sonia said was true about the company. Owen raised his hand. The talking subsided gradually. Everyone, he said. His voice was rough, like something was caught in his throat. I need you all to go home for today. We'll send information tonight about tomorrow. Just, please, go home. People gathered their belongings slowly. Conversations continued in hushed tones. I stayed where I was, unsure whether I should leave too or wait for Owen to say something to me. He caught my eye and gestured toward his office. I walked over. The 3 investigators had finished packing their materials. They nodded at Owen and left. He closed the door behind them, then turned to face me. Sit, he said. I sat. He moved to the window instead of his chair, looked out at the buildings beyond. How long have you known? Almost from the beginning, I said. 2 months after I started, I was certain. 2 months, he said it flatly. You've known for over 2 years. Yes. Why didn't you tell me then? I thought about how to answer. I wasn't sure you'd believe me. She's your wife. I was new. And I needed to be absolutely certain before I said anything. 2 years, Leah. I know. He turned to look at me. How much did she take? Total? Over 7 million. His hand went to his face. He pressed his fingers against his eyes. 7 million. Most of it in the last 18 months. She got bolder. And you just watched. I documented everything. Then I contacted the authorities. I made sure this would end. By letting it get to 7 million first. I didn't have a defense for that. He was right. I could have stopped it at 2 million. At 3. At any point before it reached 7. But I hadn't. You wanted to make sure she couldn't wriggle out of it, Owen said. You wanted the amount to be so large that there was no way to dismiss it or explain it away. Yes, you sacrificed 2 years of my company's money to guarantee she'd face consequences. Yes. He sat down then, heavily, in his chair. Do you know what this means? For Irongate, the company will probably fail. Probably, he laughed. But there was no humor in it. Definitely. We're already operating on thin margins. 7 million gone means we can't pay suppliers. Can't make payroll next month. Can't fulfill our current contracts. We're finished. I said nothing. 70 people work here, Owen continued. 70 people with families, mortgages, lives that depend on this income. They'll all lose their jobs now. Because you decided the only way to stop my wife was to let her destroy everything first. I'm sorry, I said. Are you? He leaned forward. Are you actually sorry? Or are you just saying what seems appropriate? I thought about it, really thought about it. I don't know. He seemed surprised by that answer. At least you're honest. She was never going to stop, I said. If I'd come to you earlier, with less evidence, she would have talked her way out of it, convinced you I was wrong, or unstable, or trying to frame her. She was already setting that up, the way she talked about me to people, the comments she made. She was preparing everyone to doubt me. So you let her take everything. I let her take enough that no one could doubt it anymore. Owen stood up again, paced to the window and back. The investigators told me she'd been doing this since before you arrived. Did you know that? I suspected. 6 years. Small amounts at first, then larger. By the time you noticed, it was already her pattern, her system. He stopped pacing. Do you know what she spent it on? Her own businesses. 4 of them. Each one failing. Each one bleeding money as fast as she could pour it in. She was trying to build something separate from me, something that was hers. And when those businesses failed, she just took more, tried again, failed again, took more. His voice cracked slightly. She stole from me for 6 years, and I never knew, never even suspected. She was careful, and you were patient. We sat in silence for a while. Outside the office, the workspace had emptied. Everyone had gone home, like Owen asked. What happens now? I asked. Now? The investigators file their report. Charges get filed officially. There'll be a trial eventually. She'll probably go to prison. Our marriage is over, obviously. The company will declare bankruptcy within a month. I'll lose everything I've built. My reputation will be destroyed Because everyone will wonder how I didn't notice my own wife stealing millions. He looked at me. And you? And I'll look for another job. No one will hire you. I know. Word will spread. Not the truth, but a version of it. People will hear that you were involved in a company's collapse, that you knew about theft and waited years to report it, that you let it happen. No one will want that risk. I know, I said again. So you sacrificed your career too? Yes. Why? Owen asked. Why do all this? Why not just find another job 2 years ago and leave? Why stay and watch and wait and plan? What did you get out of this? I considered the question. It deserved a real answer. When I first realized what she was doing, I was angry, but then I watched her. The way she smiled at people, the way she acted, concerned and caring, the way she was setting me up to take blame if anyone ever questioned anything. And I realized she'd done this before. Maybe not exactly this, but something like it. She knew how to manipulate, how to redirect suspicion, how to make herself look innocent. So if I'd just reported her and left, she would have survived it somehow, found a way to shift blame or minimize what she'd done. She'd have destroyed my credibility and moved on. But if I waited, if I let her take so much that it became undeniable, if I made sure the authorities had everything they needed before she knew they were coming, I paused. Then she couldn't escape, even if it meant destroying everything else in the process. Yes, Owen walked to his door and opened it. You should leave now. I stood up, walked toward the door. As I passed him, he spoke again. I don't know whether to thank you or hate you. You don't have to decide, I said. Both are fair. I left his office, walked through the empty workspace. My belongings were still at my usual spot. I packed them into my bag. 3 years of working here, and everything I'd kept at this place fit into one bag. The evening air was cool when I stepped outside. Cars filled the lot still, but most people had gone. I walked to my vehicle and sat inside for a moment before starting it. My phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. I opened it. You destroyed my life, Sonia. Somehow she'd gotten access to a phone. Maybe at the station. Maybe they'd allowed her one call and she'd used it to message me instead. Another message came through. Everything I built, everything I worked for, gone because of you. I started to put my phone away, but another message appeared. Owen will never forgive you. No one will. You'll spend the rest of your life knowing you ruined 70 families. I typed a response. Just 3 words. You did that. I blocked the number and drove home. My apartment felt different when I walked in. Same furniture, same walls, same everything, but different somehow. Like I'd left a different person that morning and come back someone else. I made dinner, something simple, ate it slowly, washed the dish, sat on my couch as the sky outside darkened completely. The local news played on my television. Halfway through, a brief mention. A local business owner was taken into custody today on suspicion of financial crimes. Details are still emerging, but sources say the investigation involves millions taken from the technology company her husband founded. More as this story develops. They showed a photo of Sonia, professional, smiling, nothing like the face she'd made when the officers arrived. My phone rang. A number I recognized. My mother. I let it go to voicemail. She'd heard somehow. News traveled fast in her circles. She'd want to know if I was all right, if I'd been involved, if I needed anything. I'd call her back tomorrow. Tonight I just wanted quiet, but quiet brought thoughts. About what Owen had said, about the 70 people who'd lose their jobs, about whether I'd made the right choice, about whether there had been another way. I didn't have good answers. Maybe there weren't any. The next morning arrived too bright. Sunlight came through my windows in ways that felt intrusive. I got up anyway, made tea, sat at my small kitchen area, and opened my laptop. 63 messages waited in my personal inbox. Former colleagues, people I'd barely spoken to at Iron Gate, all wanting to know what had happened, whether the rumors were true, whether I was all right. I closed the laptop without responding to any of them. My phone showed missed calls too, 12 of them. My mother again, a former supervisor from my old workplace. 2 numbers I didn't recognize. I put the phone face down on the counter. For 3 days, I stayed inside, ordered food, ignored messages, watched the news coverage grow. The story became bigger than I'd expected. Local reporters found interest in it. A successful tech company brought down by the founder's wife, millions stolen over years. an employee who'd reported it. Some stories made me sound heroic, others made me sound complicit. None of them were quite accurate, but I didn't correct any of them. On the fourth day, someone knocked on my door. I looked through the peephole. A woman I didn't recognize. Professional clothes, tired eyes. "Leah?" she called through the door. "My name is Paula. I worked at Iron Gate. Can we talk?" I opened the door partway. "I don't think that's a good idea. Please, just 5 minutes." I let her in. She stood in my small living space, looking around like she was trying to understand who I was from my belongings. "I got the notification yesterday," Paula said. "We all did. The company's done. Officially. We have 2 weeks of pay coming. Then nothing." "I'm sorry. Are you?" She asked it the same way Owen had. Not accusatory exactly, just genuinely wondering. "I am," I said. "I have 2 kids," Paula said, "both under 5. My husband works part-time because childcare costs too much for both of us to work full hours. We need my income. Needed it. I didn't know what to say to that. "Everyone's talking about what you did," she continued. "Half the people think you're brave. The other half think you should have come forward sooner. Stopped it before it got this bad. What do you think?" Paula sat down on my couch without asking. She looked exhausted. "I think you were in an impossible situation. I think Sonia would have destroyed you if you'd spoken up earlier. But I also think," she trailed off. "Think what?" "I think you could have tried anyway, even if it meant she destroyed your credibility, even if it meant losing your job, because trying and failing would have been better than waiting until there was nothing left to save." She was right. I knew she was right. I sat down across from her. I made a choice. It was probably the wrong one. "Probably?" Paula's voice rose slightly. "Definitely. You chose certainty over people. You chose making sure Sonia went down over giving the company a chance to survive. She would have—" "Maybe," Paula interrupted. "Maybe she would have talked her way out. Maybe she would have blamed you. Maybe Owen would have believed her. But maybe not. Maybe he would have investigated. Maybe we could have recovered some of the money. Maybe the company would have survived. You didn't give us that chance." I had no defense. She was saying everything I'd thought during those 3 days alone. Everything I'd tried not to think about. "Why are you here?" I asked. "To tell me this?" Paula stood up. "I'm here because despite everything, I understand why you did it. I hate that you did it. I hate that my family is going to struggle because you made the choice you made, but I understand it." She moved toward the door. "I just wanted you to know that someone sees the whole thing. Not the hero version, not the villain version, just the messy, complicated, real version." She left. I sat in my apartment for another hour, not moving. That afternoon, I forced myself to leave. Went to the store, bought groceries, normal things. As I waited to pay, the person behind the counter looked at me oddly, recognition in their eyes. They'd seen the news. They knew who I was. They didn't say anything, but I saw them whisper to a coworker after I left. This would be my life now. People recognizing me, having opinions about me, judging choices they hadn't had to make. A week later, Owen called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "The bankruptcy finalized," he said without greeting. "It's over. I heard. I'm selling my house. Moving somewhere smaller. Starting over, if you can call it that, at 47. "Owen, I'm not calling to make you feel worse," he said. "Or better. I'm calling because the investigators finished their complete report. They found records going back 8 years. Sonia had been doing this even longer than we thought, and she'd done it before, at a previous company. Got away with it, because that company settled quietly rather than prosecute. I hadn't known that. If you hadn't done what you did," Owen continued, "she would have eventually taken everything anyway, then moved on, done it somewhere else. The pattern was clear once they looked at her history." "Does that make you feel better?" I asked. "No, nothing about this makes me feel better. But it makes me understand why you waited. Why you needed it to be airtight. Because you knew if there was any room for doubt, she'd slip through." "I'm still sorry," I said, "for what happened to everyone else." "Most of them found new jobs," Owen said. "Not all. Paula's struggling. She told me she came to see you." "She did. She's right, you know. About all of it. What you did was understandable and unforgivable at the same time." "I know. I have to go," he said. "I just wanted you to know about Sonia's history. Thought you should have all the information." He ended the call. I sat holding my phone, processing what he'd told me. She'd done this before, gotten away with it. The company I'd sacrificed, the jobs lost, the lives disrupted, all of that had prevented her from doing it again somewhere else. From hurting more people. Did that balance things? Did that make my choice defensible? I didn't know. Still don't. 3 months passed. I applied to 42 positions. Got 3 interviews. No offers. Word had spread exactly as Owen predicted. Not the full truth, but enough of it. Companies saw my name and found the news stories. Found enough questions to decide I wasn't worth the risk. My savings dwindled. I started looking at jobs outside my field, things that wouldn't check my background as thoroughly, things that paid less but would keep me housed and fed. Then I got a message from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line read, "Job opportunity." I almost deleted it as spam, but something made me open it. "Miss Leah, my name is Gordon. I run a small operation that helps people who've been financially harmed by fraud. We're not investigators. We're not authorities. We just help people navigate the aftermath. I've followed your situation. I'd like to talk about you joining our team. We need someone who understands how these things work from the inside. Call me if you're interested." A phone number followed. Nothing else. I stared at the message for a long time. This could be legitimate. Could be someone wanting to exploit what happened. Could be something else entirely. I called the number. Gordon answered on the second ring. His voice was older, weathered. "You called. Good. What is this?" I asked. "What do you actually do?" Exactly what I said. When someone gets hurt by fraud, the authorities handle the criminal side. But the victims? They're left trying to recover, trying to understand what happened, trying to rebuild. We help them do that. We have accountants, former investigators, people who know how to untangle financial messes, and we could use someone who understands how fraud happens from the inside. Why me? Because you lived it, watched it happen, understood the mechanisms, and because you made a hard choice that cost you everything. That tells me you're willing to do difficult things when they matter. "I destroyed people's lives," I said. "You stopped someone who would have kept destroying lives. The cost was high, maybe too high, but the alternative was letting her continue. I've seen her type before. They don't stop until they're forced to stop." We talked for an hour about what his organization did, about what the role would involve, about whether I was really suited for it. By the end, he offered me a position. The pay was less than half what I'd made at Irongate, but it was something. More importantly, it was purpose. I accepted. That was 8 months ago. I've been working with Gordon's team since then. We help people piece together what happened to them, help them understand the schemes that targeted them, help them find what can be recovered. It's not glamorous. It's often depressing, but it matters. Last week, I got a letter, prison correspondence, from Sonia. I almost threw it away unopened, but I read it. She wrote 3 pages. Most of it was anger, blaming me, blaming Owen, blaming the investigators, blaming everyone except herself. But the last paragraph was different. "You knew what I was," she wrote, "before I even realized it myself. You saw the pattern. I keep thinking about that. How you watched me for 2 years and understood me better than I understood myself. I hate you for what you did, but I think you're the only person who actually saw me clearly." I haven't responded. Don't plan to, but I kept the letter. Sometimes I think about those 70 people at Irongate, about Paula and her kids, about whether I made the right choice. I still don't have a good answer. Maybe there isn't one. Maybe some situations don't have right choices, just choices with different costs, and you pick the one you can live with. I can live with mine, barely. Some days better than others. But I wake up each morning and do work that helps people hurt by the same kind of thing Sonia did. That has to count for something. The story doesn't end with justice feeling clean or satisfying. It ends with me in a smaller apartment, doing harder work for less money, carrying the weight of decisions that hurt people I never wanted to hurt. But it also ends with Sonia in prison, unable to do this to anyone else, and with me understanding that sometimes the cost of stopping something terrible is terrible itself. That's the truth of it. Not heroic, not villainous, just complicated and messy and real. Thank you for listening to all of this, for staying until the end. If this story meant something to you, if it made you think about the complicated choices people face, I'd appreciate you leaving a comment. Let me know your thoughts. And if you found value in hearing this, consider sharing it with others. These stories need to be told. The real ones. The ones without clean endings. Thank you.